you're Lord Fear's newest steward, huh? Could we talk later? If I don't finish this lamp inventory, Gascon will feed me to the fabricants. Yeah, Gascon must know how much I love doing paperwork. A few days ago, Sotha Seal ordered us to rip out all the lamps in here and replace them with less efficient ones. What kind of sense does that make? Who wants weaker lamps? A bunch of factotums loaded them onto a dolly and dumped them somewhere in the mechanical fundament. Hey, I know that look. If you're looking to poach a free lamp, don't bother. Gascon made us slag them all. And that's not even the worst part. Half the old switches don't work with the new lamp, so we've had to manufacture new switches, and half the time the switches get installed backwards, which means we have to do it all over again. Even the factotums don't know what they're doing. And don't even get me started on the lamp assembly. Sotha Seal could have turned the fabricators to make the new lamps with a flick of his finger, but he demanded that we do it instead. Do you have any idea how complex the fabricators are?
So you're the one Devaith tapped to be his aide in the Brass Fortress. Sorry to hear that. Provost Varuni's ancestors hail from House Telvanni, just like Lord Fear. But honestly, they couldn't be more different. Not as bad as you might expect. She's young, youth comes with impatience, but I've never felt unfairly judged, and she's generous with her praise. Honestly, if I had the choice between serving Varuni or Sotha Seal, I'd take Varuni every time. Now more than ever, I don't pretend to understand his motives, but he's never been so demanding. One example? He insists that we turn all the lights down before he enters a room. Do you have any idea how difficult that is? It's maddening! Huh, flipping switches. That's rich. Each lamp has its own switch, and some lamps have multiple switches. And if that isn't bad enough, some switches control multiple lamps. He's a god, I know, but it shouldn't take a genius to turn on the lights. Don't even get me started. Varuni might demand some obscure tome in the middle of the night or chide someone for leaving oil on the floor, but that's the worst of it. Sotha Seal exiled an auxiliary last week because she forgot to switch off a lamp. Right, don't let me keep you. I can't imagine how demanding Devaith Fear must be. Better you than me, that's for sure. Keep your nose to the cogs and you'll be fine. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm off to flip 24 switches again.
So you're Devaithir's new auxiliary, eh? Tough luck, friend. I've heard he's an insufferable bastard, but at least he's not Sotha Seal. Better to be turned into a guar than to serve the clockwork god. Not anymore. In the old days, sure. He was easy to please because he was never around. These days, he changes his mind about something every night. Constant meetings, new dictums daily, adjustments to factotum patrols. It's a nightmare. Trust me, this is unprecedented. I'm afraid something's wrong with his enhancements. Like he's having trouble regulating. He's a different person, I swear. Don't tell anyone I said this, especially Gascon. Blasphemy doesn't go over well nowadays. Yes, speaking ill of a god never turns out well. In the old days, he'd take it in stride. Commit your small blasphemies, he'd say. The fire of doubt turns ignorance to steam, but not anymore. This place is becoming more like Mournhold every day. Right. I'm sure you have plenty of work to do for Lord Fear. He's back a few days and already burying you in paperwork, no doubt. Take care of yourself, friend.
Were you treated well by the menials? I assume they battered you with complaints. What have you learned? Yes, well, I could have told you that. That's why I sent you here after all. What kinds of demands? Be specific. The lamps in the locutorium, yes? The large assembly room over there? The auxiliaries and factotums have been laboring in there day and night ever since we arrived. Curious. What can lights have to do with this? Well, there's only one way to find out. Impressive. I assumed I'd have to explain it to you. Of course, this requires a functional lamp. I assume he ordered them destroyed. Speak to that high elf of yours, Neramo. The dark elf as well. We need one of these lamps repaired and operable.
Be assured, I mean you no harm, Resident.
Strangers in Black helped House Lalu at the Gorge. Do you think? No, that's impossible. They're all gone now?
Ah, I hope to see you again, Assistant. Pray tell, what did Devaith Fear have to say? I fear that he and I might have gotten off to a poor start. Did he ask about me? Any mention of my many exploits? Raynor? Surely this is something I can handle myself. Impressing Devaith Fear could greatly increase my standing in the Dwemer scholarly community. Tell me, what does Lord Fear ask of me? Us? He just wants us to build a lamp? What an odd request. No matter. I would be happy to offer my ample expertise, provided you let Devaith Fear know that I did so. First things first. I need to study one of the lamps we're supposed to recreate. Some kind of tubular housing. Probably meant to protect a glass interior? Difficult to say. Lead the way, assistant. A complex filament of some kind. The weaving on this fiber, it must be machine-made. I should be taking notes. Some kind of compressor. For funneling a gas, perhaps? Interesting. Look at the apertures on this. It must be some kind of modulator that changes the nature of the light. Fascinating. Compressors, filaments, housings, modulators. Yes! I think I understand what these discarded lights have in common. Unlike the other lamps, these compress some kind of geodic gas into metal tubes, then modulate the light to create another kind of illumination that mortal eyes cannot see. Invisible light! Remarkable! The potential applications are limitless. Yes, with Rayna's assistance, I believe we can recreate this lamp without much difficulty. Of course, you'll need to procure the requisite parts. These are all broken beyond repair. What do you plan to do with this light, exactly? You plan to do what? Oh dear. Well, this seems like a terrible idea, but I shall rely upon you and Lord Fear to protect me. Here's a list of the components I'll need. Once you've acquired them, meet me in the Hall of Refined Techniques. Good luck.
It's not hard to be a banker in Slagtown.
Please don't try to sell me stolen goods.
It's all right. Let it all out.
I tried. I tried. You know, I think it's better on the way out.
I can polish up any dirty goods.
Want to help Slagtown become a little more enchanting?
Capable combatants needed for hazardous work. Please respond for more information.
If you're looking to barter, you're out of luck. I traded most of my salvage to Najargo for firepot oil. Turns out it's not firepot oil at all. He just skimmed residue off one of the water tanks and dyed it with boot polish. He swindled me. Funny you should ask. I lost a compressor to Najargo in that slaggy trade. You could try to get it from him. Or better yet, just beat it out of him. If that doesn't suit, you could pull one out of a verminous fabricant. They're all over the radius.
If you search for salvage, you have come to the right place, Walker. Najargo received a fresh shipment of cranks and cogs just days ago. What can this one get you? Then you are most fortunate. I happen to have a modulated compressor right here. This one warns you, it will not come cheap. Najargo spent many long nights assembling it. What will you give me for it? Najargo has no need for coin. He cheated! Slander and lies! I offered Duldresi a trade and she took it. Najargo bears no blame for the dungy dark elf being a poor business person. If you only come to insult me, you should be on your way, Green Hill. Now hold on a moment. Najargo sees no need to drag powerful, scary people into a simple trading dispute. Why don't you go ahead and take this compressor? As a token of goodwill, yes? I promise I will settle this business with Odresi.
Now there's the look of someone on the hunt for something specific. You've come to the right place, friend. I've got a bit of everything. What can I get you? As a matter of fact, I acquired some of those just a few days ago. Apparently, someone's tossing out the old lighting to make way for the new. They're not easy to come by anymore, though. What's your offer? Varuni Arvel? Well, that changes everything. Any friend of Varuni's is a friend of mine. Why don't you take this tube on the house? Just let Varuni know how helpful I was, all right? And that I'm pretty good looking. Well spoken, too. Deal?
Kirith and I reassembled a Dwemer orrery with nothing but broken soul gems and spare parts. Now, look at me, puzzling over a lamp. Don't worry though, we're near to finishing this thing. I know it. Ah, you've returned! Excellent! Raynor and I have cobbled together a serviceable frame for the lamp. All we need now are the components I sent you to acquire. Were you successful? Wonderful! I'm confident this lamp will conform to the exact specifications of the lamps they removed, provided Raynor didn't make any miscalculations. So, would this be the time to inform Devaith Fear of our success? Or mine, specifically? Excellent, excellent! No need to return here, of course. Kirith should be back straight away, and I'll have her run the completed lamp over to the locutorium as soon as it's ready. See you soon, assistant!
I grew up in Narcissus. I can't believe this stupid plague almost turned the place into a ghost town.
Ah, I was beginning to worry. Not about you, of course. These apostles have been circling me like cliff racers, looking for an autograph, no doubt. So tiresome. I take it you were successful in learning about these lights and constructing a new one? Well done. I assume you discovered the special property of these lamps. Why does my dear friend Seal go to such lengths to avoid them? Invisible light. Fascinating. To help with factotum navigation, perhaps? Huh. No matter. Further inquiry must wait. Now is the time for action. I will request a congressional assembly. Plant your lamp on the balcony above, then return to me.
Did you say something about putting the lamp on the balcony? We might have a problem. Raynor and that annoying high elf finished your lamp, but there's a problem. On the way here, I overheard an aide complaining about some new security measures Sotha Seal put in place. Looks like the balcony is under heavy guard now. Looks that way, unless you want blood on your hands, of course. But that might complicate our sponsorship a smidge, yeah? Just be quick and quiet, like me. You'll be fine. Here's the lamp, good luck.
That's it. I'm sending for the guard.
Guards, come quick and catch this scoundrel.
When the guard arrives, you'll be sorry.
You should have left when you had the chance. Guards!
I think that Swit over there is a wanted criminal.
You should have left when you had the chance.
Criminal?
Guards!
I'm not impressed.
You were warned. Now you'll...
I convinced Sotha Seal that the Congress requires yet another lecture on the sanctity of clockwork automata. He eagerly agreed. Seemed almost giddy about it. It was unsettling. Is all in readiness? Good. Seal's lecture should begin any moment now. Stand ready to activate the lamp. I'm reasonably certain that something will happen, but the specifics elude me. I guess this is what uncertainty feels like. What a novel change of pace.
I will remind you yet again. My beloved factotums serve as an extension of my divine will. Accost them, and you accost me. In the past, I have encouraged a child's curiosity and accepted minor blasphemies. But my generosity has limits. Know this. Any servant of the clockwork god found tinkering with factotums shall face severe sanction. In this place, my word shapes, constructs, and controls. My authority is absolute.
After him! Someone seize that imposter!
I am the clockwork god. You will kneel before me. Kneel!
I haven't the time to discuss this, Varuni. Wittingly or unwittingly, Lord Set no longer serves the people of Clockwork City. Now, if you will excuse me.
Gascon, where are you going? When news of this gets out, we need to issue a statement or at least gather the Congress for an emergency session.
I have urgent matters to attend to. Make whatever statement you like. I will return soon.
Well, that was enlightening. To think I've been speaking to Sotha Seal's shadow all this time. It seems so lifelike. Far more advanced than my own, I'm sorry to say. Fascinating. It really is too bad we'll all be dead soon. Well, I don't mean to alarm you, but I will be frank. If an imposter sits upon the throne aligned and learns how to wield the power of this place, a cataclysm will follow. We may yet discover a way to avert this disaster, but the chances are slim. Stay with Varuni. With Sotha Seal exposed as an imposter, the Congress will fall into turmoil. In such chaos, dark truths always float to the surface. Pray they do so quickly. I have other inquiries to make. Stay vigilant. We will meet again soon.
My dear Lord Set, what happened to you? I can scarcely believe what we just witnessed. How could this happen? How could a shadow masquerade as Lord Set? The Father of Mysteries would never let such a thing happen. There must be another explanation. Fear, of course. Always the iconoclast. I'll bet he's snickering at us even now. It doesn't matter. I appreciate your diligence. This has been a profoundly upsetting ordeal, but we must move forward. We must find the real Lord Set. Yes, he was acting strangely, wasn't he? He always chafed under Lord Set's rule. Now he finally has a pretext to seize control, and he slinks away like a broken basilisk. Curious. Too curious. The real Lord Set will aid us eventually, I know it. In the meantime, we must do for ourselves. Thank you for everything you've done. It appears we'll have to do a lot more before this is through. Classic Gascon. Fleeing to his chambers when things go poorly. I'm sure that news of Lord Set's condition has already made it to the streets. We have to move quickly to prevent a panic. Try to talk to Gascon. He clearly doesn't care what I have to say, but he might listen to an exodromal. You remain, you know, a novelty. No offense. We can't assemble the Congress without the Chancellor. Check his rectory in the west wing of the Basilica. He hides in there sometimes to nurse a bruised ego or write passive-aggressive memoranda. I'll try to settle the Apostle's nerves. Honestly, my nerves could use some settling. Don't let Gascon wriggle out of this. He has a duty and an obligation, as do I. What? Yes. Yes, I'll be fine. This makes no sense. I don't understand how a shadow could take Lord Set's place. Maybe this is some sort of test. But why test us? The Clockwork Apostles haven't strayed. We build and pray and experiment just as the holy texts dictate. Compromised? You make it sound as if Lord Set suffers some kind of defect, like a crimped duct or a stripped bolt or something. We're talking about a divine being. Gods can't be compromised. They exist without flaws. Right? Do you know what the sermons say? Complexity belies the truth. The world rests on simple principles. Set is the truth and the light. Understand the simple, and you understand the obscure. I do appreciate your candor. Let's pick this up again later.
Where did you hide it, you worm?
There you are.
Please try again.
The factotums reported a strange energy signature in Gascon's rectory. Did you find anything odd in there? Sounds like a nocturnal shrike. By the gears, how did that thing make it past our security coils? Is Gascon... Not suspicious at all, is it? A sudden departure followed by a Daedra attack. You're right. I knew Gascoigne was a conceited sluggard, but consorting with Daedra? I pray it's not true. We need to discover what he has that the Daedra covet. Proctor Luciana might be able to organize a search. She just left to disperse a crowd. I hope you catch Gascoigne soon. We need to know what he knows immediately. Birds? Not that I'm aware of. He might be tinkering with some kind of avian automaton, but he rarely discusses that sort of thing with me. Why do you ask? Wait, feathers? From a live bird? Unprecedented. As far as I know, no living bird has ever set foot or wing in Clockwork City. And even if they did, they wouldn't last long. Not a lot of worms crawling around here. They do eat worms, right? Fascinating. I've always wanted to see one, under better circumstances, of course. I'll notify our naturalists once we resolve this situation with Gascoigne. I'm afraid not. Gascoigne keeps his own counsel about what he does outside the Basilica. He spent a few days out in the Radius last month, but that's hardly unusual. Apostles conduct research outside the fortress all the time. Mathematics, mostly. Predictive theory, spherical values, virtuous enumeration, that sort of thing. He just published a dissertation on transdimensional calculation, making inferences on how numbers change during planar travel. Impressive work. The specificity of his calculations just boggles the mind. It's almost as if he had access to a planar rift. Oh no. I don't want to even consider it. Not until we have proof. I knew this wouldn't end well.
I'm not here to speculate on Lord Set's whereabouts. I'm
bounty
here
is
to
an
clear the
opportunity for
square.
you to set yourself right with
Don't
me
know, do
and
you?
with the gods.
I knew it! This is a disaster!
If you want to panic, do so in your own homes, not in the public square. Now disperse,
Be gone
or
from
be
my sight.
dispersed. Get them moving.
You heard the Proctor. Return to your homes.
If you're looking for Lord Set, I don't know where he is. I will find out, though. Count on it. Gascoigne, what has he done now? I can't keep up with the complaints. Good. Maybe a fabricant ate him. Our luck has to change at some point. So, he finally graduated from corrupt hobbyist to professional villain. I'm almost relieved. Now we can finally give him what he deserves. I assume you informed your sponsor, Provost Varuni? A citywide search? I can't spare enough apostles to search a broom closet. Reports are flooding in from the Radius. Stories about fanatics in black robes, pale-skinned Daedra, living shadows. We may have a full-scale invasion on our hands. I have one asset I can spare. I know an artificer, Dalamar. He takes some getting used to, but you won't find a better tinkerer. He can help you find Gascoigne, guaranteed. Go talk to him. He set up shop near the tenements. Slagtown. I knew that slag-addled piece of garbage Gascon would turn on us eventually. We should have dealt with this decades ago. I think we should destroy it, if only to convince the people it can be destroyed. I'm already getting reports from citizens convinced that their neighbor or their friend is actually a shadow. Another few weeks of this, it will not end well. I'm prepared to live with that. I made a vow to protect the Clockwork City and its inhabitants. If sacrifices have to be made, we should all be prepared to make them, Lord Set included. You can ask. I have a crank in between my shoulder blades. One of my auxiliaries winds me up every morning before breakfast. That's a joke. In the same way as every other clockwork automata. A combination of engineering and sorcery that would take a century to explain. The machinery keeps me alive. I know it's unsettling to look at, but no one ever said life in Clockwork City was fair. The same as you, I wager. A combination of heroism and coincidence. I served Riemann Cyrodiil as a battle mage during the Akaviri Troubles and the Valenwood annexation. Yes, I'm still not exactly sure what happened. During the Valenwood campaign, I locked staves with a wood elf spell leader named Keladith. He was deceptively powerful, wiry, quick as a skeever trap. I remember cleaving his staff with a summoned blade. Possibly. I think he was in the midst of a translocation spell when my sword made impact. There was an explosion and a bright light. When I woke, I was splayed out in the radius, mangled. Yes, his factotum scooped up what was left of me and brought me here. He mended my wounds and replaced what couldn't be mended with metal. I asked him why. Because one day you will shine a light, he said. And that was that. Always. Take my advice. If we manage to find the real Set, don't expect him to embrace you as a friend. We're all cogs in his eyes. Valuable. Beautiful, even, but ultimately expendable. You either grow to accept that, or you turn out like Gascon. Yes, bitter, sullen, probably traitorous, and if I get my way, dead.
Well, look at you, all full of fleshy bits. Not a scrap of brass on you, is there? That won't do, that will not do. I can fix you up, no bother at all. Maybe new feet. You need new feet, don't you? A missing person? How mysterious. You wouldn't be looking for Sotha Seal, would you? I hear rumors, you know. All kinds of rumors. Something about him turning into a crow. Or was it a frog? Never mind. Luciana did you a favor. I have just the thing. Whoa! Cool those cogs, you twitchy rascal. This little scrap heap should do the trick. Meet Snuffler, the tracking Nix. There he goes! I just replaced his leg springs, so try to keep up!
expect me to believe this is so for? It's an elaborate ruse, to your credit.
Skepticism is an appropriate reaction.
Oi! Wake up, Johnny! Visitors! Ah, you're useless. What are you doing nosing around here with that ugly beast? Jonif and I haven't done nothing. Chancellor who? Oh! You mean that brass-arsed fancy boots that came running through here? Yeah, I seen him. Dragging his silly apostle skirts behind him like a broken wheel chain. Seemed like he was in a hurry. Pretty suspicious, if you ask me. Yeah, the grease mucks up Fabrican snoots. That's why we stay down here. Wouldn't want the constable to see you. Never mind. Your man headed west. Should be some oily footprints about. Follow those tracks and you'll find your fancy boots. You need something else? I'm busy down here with, you know, experiments and such. Ah, here it comes. All the questions and accusations. Jonif and me don't bother anybody, but constables come down here day and night, poking around like skivertons. Ugh, fine. We'll get you out of here. Jonif and me, we brew up, elixirs. Yes, elixirs, that's it. A good swig or two of Ralmir brew can settle the nerves, soothe the belly girls, even thicken your hair. Just look at this beard! Well, it's not strictly speaking legal. Sometimes the brew makes clockwork arms and legs go screwy, but that's rare. Barely ever happens. They sort of take on a life of their own. Do a bit of wiggling around and, you know, fall off. Those fancy boots up in the Basilica shout about sensory linkages and tissue rejection. Fancy words for can't hold their liquor, if you ask me. Screws to that! If you don't like it, don't drink it. That's what I say. Now, off with you. Me and Jonif got things to do. Wake up, Johnny! Visitors! You're useless.
shadows! Are you here to kill me? Too late. Your skeeving Chancellor beat you to it. Who are you? Another one of vile, sniveling agents. Gascoigne's gone. Now, let me return to my mistress in peace. West, in the ventral terminus. He may have killed me, but he won't last long. He sealed his fate the moment he betrayed us. There existed a covenant between your Gascoigne, Clavicus Vile, and my mistress. But he broke it. Now he will drown in blood. Night Mistress, I am coming. Gascoigne vowed to bring us an artifact of great power. Now, the artifact is gone. But don't worry. My mistress will wring the truth out of him soon. The Whispering Shadows will claim this artifact, and you will all die, deafened by your own screams. You really have no idea, do you? Daedric forces conspire in every dark corner. Lurk behind every tree and stone. We spread like a plague, claiming more souls and territory with each passing hour. Sotha Seal's precious city will die at our hands. Yes, Scarthin and others. They served their purpose, and yet they linger, confounding my mistress's plans and providing safe harbor to that toad, Gascoigne. I will say no more. Gascoigne vowed to bring us an artifact of great power. Now, the artifact is gone, but don't worry. My mistress will wring the truth out of him soon. The Whispering Shadows will claim this artifact, and you will all die, deafened by your own screams. You really have no idea, do you? Daedric forces conspire in every dark corner. Lurk behind every...
A traitor can't be far. Find him.
This year he'll Welcome, friend. Come, join our celebration on this glorious and special day. Today is the day that Lector Naril declares a new apprentice. I've improved my botanical knowledge and skills considerably since the selection day last year. I hope he sees how much I can help him in his work. The Everwound Wellspring, a wondrous oasis in this mechanical desert. Sotha Seal created the place, but the Lector made plants grow in the metallic soil. Once every year, he distributes food and chooses an apprentice. You should come with me and see. In the past, the wellspring was accessible to everyone. Lector Narl sealed the place and started the tradition of the annual harvest and apprentice selection.
Gearman's guardian, you have my respect.
Oh no, so many hopefuls. The gears just have to align in my favor. They have to.
Faithful of Sotha Seal, you may enter to collect this year's harvest in a moment, but first, I shall name my new apprentice. Sherazar, the Everwound Wellspring welcomes you as its new apprentice. The rest of you, come in and claim your portion of the harvest.
Thank the great gear. Let's go inside.
Factotums will continue to gather the harvest and bring the containers here. In the meantime, use the lift and come see our oasis. I always share a few words of advice with the hopefuls that weren't selected before I take the new apprentice under my wing. The Everwound Wellspring provides excellent opportunities for the novice apostles. You must be one of the new arrivals I've heard so much about. Everything in the Clockwork City, the soil, the flora, the fauna, it's all composed of gears and pistons and metal. It's like that everywhere. Everywhere, that is, except here. Because Sotha Seal set the wellspring in this metallic desert and blessed it with a reservoir of water. An exceedingly rare thing in the Clockwork City. He planned to create an oasis, but moved on to other projects before the task was done. We had water and a pressing need. It didn't take me long to figure out how to make actual living plants grow in this artificial soil. Now, save your questions and let me show you some of the wonders of the Everwound Wellspring. Come, everyone! Follow me into the viewing garden. My friends, the Wellspring enjoyed a bountiful harvest. Let me show you how we accomplish our miracles. Simulated sunlight allows our trees to produce fruit sweeter than the orchards of Vardenfell. These pipes carry an alchemical solution that nourishes our plants. Factotums harvest the plants and pack them in special containers to keep them fresh before we distribute them to Clockwork City. We take clippings from the most robust plants to produce stronger varieties. Someday, we'll be able to grow plants outside these walls. Every season, we share our bounty and select a new apprentice from among the novice apostles. By the way, where did my new apprentice wander off to? My new apprentice, Sherazar. Where did she disappear to? Oh, she's off to a bad start. And have 2 novices wandering around the oasis unsupervised? Very well. Go find Sherazar and return to me with all due haste. Quickly now, the work of the Wellspring can't wait for an idle apprentice. That's a complicated subject, and one better left to the actual apprentices. Suffice it to say that the process involves water treated with alchemical nutrients and other solutions, as well as our simulated sunlight. That would require an even more complicated answer. Suffice it to say that we use lenses, crystals, and a unique power source to create life-giving light similar to Nern's sun. But without the apprentices, none of this would be possible. My program provides an opportunity to work outside the Clockwork Basilica, lets them try their hand at something different. Besides, keeping the Wellspring going requires a lot of bodies. You'd be surprised at what's required to make my plants grow.
This was supposed to be a special day, but it turned out all wrong. There's something not right with this oasis. Sometimes a gear slips or a cylinder throws a piston. This place reminds me of that. Specifically, I saw my old friend Shirhari down one of the corridors. When I tried to go talk to her, the factotums blocked my path. They drove me off. That's the question, isn't it? And it's the reason I have a bad feeling all of a sudden. Why restrict where an apprentice can go? And why refuse to let me talk to Shirhari? It makes no sense. No, I'd rather speak to Shirhari. I know her. I trust her. Lector Naril? He's still a stranger to me. Will you help me get past the factotum so I can talk to my old friend?
Sherazar. Oh, this one purrs at the sight of you.
It's so good to see you too, Shirhari.
You shouldn't wander the wellspring unsupervised. It's dangerous. The factotums don't respond well to visitors they haven't been formulated to recognize. And the fabricants, they're just mean. A new apprentice? Really? But what does Shirhari know of such things? This one works in the dark and grows fungi, molds, and mosses. The Lector keeps me too busy for other concerns. Shirhari doubts there's anything sinister going on. Sothasil blessed the wellspring with water, and Lector Naril's alchemical solutions make it possible to grow plants. It's good to see Sherizar, though. We could use the help. Apprentice? Sherizar is the first new apprentice to enter the wellspring in years. The Lector stopped selecting apprentices after poor Gathal's accident. At least, that's how this one understands things. I suppose Idrono might know differently. Idrono works with Shihari. He attempts to grow non-fungal plant life in harsh conditions. Since you're going to speak to him, could you bring along some of my mushrooms? But not the poisonous ones. He hates those. Idrono will be grateful for the fungi samples, even if he seems agitated. He gets that way during the harvest. Make sure to bring him safe ones, though. My notes can help you identify the various types we grow. No, only the Lector can do such things. But perhaps this one has the next best thing. My plaque of safe passage. As long as you carry it, the factotums should leave you alone. Take it. It won't stop fabricants, however, so be wary of those beasts. Shirhari will be fine. There is much to do right here, and the factotums are formulated to recognize me. The plaque is a precaution, for the most part. This one will get another one before the next work cycle begins. Oh. Oh.
New apprentice, if you can hear my voice, step to the nearest speaking tube this instant.
A new apprentice? How curious. And are those samples of Shiahari's mushrooms? Excellent. I've been anxious to taste the new harvest. Texture similar to guarhide. Flavor equivalent to wet moss. Not what I hoped for. Interesting question. As far as I know, no new apprentices have entered the wellspring since Garthel's accident. But I have a bigger concern. At least Shiahari can grow mushrooms. My plants refuse to live no matter what I do. Of course, Lector Gnarl tasked each of us with a different experiment. I'm attempting to grow plants without the benefit of the simulated sunlight. I haven't had any success so far, but someone has to tackle the difficult experiments, I suppose. Lector Gnarl developed it using techniques he still refuses to share. The simulated sunlight provides nourishing energy that makes most of the plants we grow thrive. Not my plants, mind you. Oh, no, that would ruin the experiment. Otowen's been with Lector Gnarl the longest. She might know something more. You'll need to cross my garden to reach her. Just watch out for the blasted fabricants. They keep eating my plants and clogging up the gears. I just don't understand why my plants won't grow while Shihari and Otowen have no trouble making things bloom. It's an absolute annoyance. And so are those fabricants. Feel free to smash them to bits on your way through the garden. What's to tell? Gathal died. Happened in Lector Gnarl's private workshop. We're not allowed in there anymore. Now let me think. I need to figure out how to make my plants do something. Anything other than wither and die.
New apprentice, if you can hear my voice, step to the nearest speaking tube this instant. This is Lector Gnarl talking to you through this speaking tube. I had such high hopes for you, Sherazar. Why do you defy me? I see. And does this have to do with the endeavors of the Wellspring? I suppose I can't fault you for your initiative and willingness to get right to work. I just wish you would have waited before you presented yourselves to my other apprentices. Prohibited? That's a harsh word. No, we don't have any restrictions in the Wellspring. But Sherazar will have a better understanding of how things work here once she returns to me and completes her orientation and training. Did he? My workshop isn't restricted. It's just private. You must see the necessity for a space of my own. No matter. Finish your task and we can discuss this in more detail. I have impressive plans for you and my new apprentice.
Interruptions are counterproductive. The 7th law of Gears teaches us that. Well, since you've already distracted me, you might as well tell me what you want. Idrono. His experiment was doomed from the beginning. You can't grow plants without a source of nourishing light. My plants thrive thanks to the use of Lecter Naural's simulated sunlight. But I wasn't informed we were getting new apprentices. That was the practice until Gathal died. Then the Lector sealed his private workshop and gave us these experiments to conduct while he perfected his simulated sunlight. It makes our annual harvest possible. If there were other apprentices, I'd know. I suppose Lector Naril could have more apprentices toiling in his private workshop. He keeps numerous secrets, so what's a few more? You can enter the workshop through the busted vent over there. Ignorance of his rules might grant you some leeway. Lector Naril's private workshop is restricted, but I don't expect you to find anything. If he catches you snooping around, feign ignorance and beg forgiveness. What's the worst he could do? I suppose he could turn you into plant food. Lector Naril is one of the most respected clockwork apostles currently operating within Lord Set's great experiment. Every novice wants to become his apprentice, and every sentient in the Brass Fortress hopes to partake of his bountiful harvests. That's a long and complicated tale. The short form is that he was one of Sotha Seal's most trusted warrior scholars. When our great master abandoned the wellspring for other endeavors, Naril stepped in to fill the gap. He's been here ever since. An unfortunate factotum accident happens occasionally. Sometimes the poor contraptions just get overheated and explode. That's why I prefer to work at a significant distance from the machines. Say, a good 30 paces or thereabouts.
I'm very disappointed, Sherazar. Shirhari's plaque of safe passage has been rendered inoperable. Immediately.
Lector Naril's a clockwork apostle. He must keep meticulous notes. We need to examine them. The early experiments failed, even though Lector Narl perfected his alchemical solution. I wonder how they solved the problem. That's the story of how the Everwound Wellspring was created. Lector Narl picked up where Sotha Sil left off. I never knew what went into making the wellspring work. I wonder how they finally got the simulated sunlight to nourish the plants. The source of the simulated sunlight is the life force of the missing apprentices? That's horrible. We need to see what's inside Narl's private workshop. Gee, is that the inductor? The apprentices! It sucked the life out of them! This is the Lector's simulated sunlight inductor. And just as we read in his notes, he's using the life force of the most recent apprentices to power the device. Sotha Sil would never approve of this. Never in a million clicks of the Great Gear. No. If we leave, Lector Narl will just use Shirhari or one of the others. We have to do something. We have to stop this madness. People shouldn't be turned into plant food. At least not while they're still healthy and vibrant. It's not natural.
So now you know the secret of the wellspring. You see your role in our grand plan. Time is short. The life force of the previous apprentices is nearly depleted.
Why do you resist? Your life force can feed thousands! You lash out because you fail to grasp the importance of what I do.
There's nothing to be done for these poor apprentices. The Inductor has drained every drop of life from their bodies. But what of Lector Naril? He cloaks his evil in good intentions. The Lector lied. He tricked the apprentices and killed them. But the machine does allow the plants to grow and provides food for the Clockwork City. I wonder, what if someone willingly sacrificed themselves to feed the people? Yes, one life a season in exchange for a bountiful harvest. What could be more noble than sacrificing your life to feed the hungry? And I'll continue to work with the remaining apprentices. Maybe we can find another way, someday.
How horrible! Those apostles, all dead?
Not just dead, drained of life to create the simulated sunlight.
Still, it's an amazing device. Lector Naril's a true genius.
A genius? Look at this. Narl's insane.
Narl's dead, but the promise of the wellspring lives on.
You're not suggesting we continue to kill people?
We call for volunteers. Use their sacrifices while we continue to work on finding a different source of power.
How noble. I assume we won't be the ones volunteering this time.
Sherazar has the right idea, and I offer myself as the first sacrifice.
Idrono, no!
It's only logical. I'm an apprentice whose experiments never worked out. Allow me to contribute in another way.
Very well. Let's go make the necessary preparations.
One death to avoid many. This one still doesn't like how this all turned out.